Dear students, today we are going to start our next class, lecture 4. In the previous lecture, we have discussed 4 types of instructions: type declaration instructions, arithmetic instructions, input-output instructions, and control instructions. We have discussed 3 types in detail: type declaration, arithmetic, and input-output instructions we have already discussed in detail. Today we are going to start our 4th type of instructions, control instructions. Today our topic is control instructions. Control instructions are based on decisions. In programming, in some situations we need to make certain decisions. To make decisions, we need control instructions. What sort of decisions we may need? For example, if the person age is equal to or greater than 18 years, then he or she can apply for the driving license. For example, if we have a condition like to apply for the driving license, one need to have age 18 years, then we must have to set certain conditions that if somebody apply for the driving license, first his or her age would be verified, and if the age is greater than 18 years or equal to 18 years, he may apply for the driving license. So to verify or to check the age of the person applying for the driving license, it means we need to set certain conditions. So that purpose we use control instruction. Another example, if the height of the player is not less than 6 feet, then he can join basketball team. So again, certain condition applies, and the condition is to apply for the basketball team, one need to have at least 6 feet height. Lesser than 6 feet height cannot apply for the basketball team, because in basketball team height sport in playing. So to get the benefit of height, certain criteria is set, that is 6 feet minimum height is required to apply for the basketball team. So certain criteria, we need certain conditions, and one need to have some decision over here. So for that purpose, we need control instructions. Another example, minimum marks to qualify for the next class is 50%. Again, a student need to qualify for the next class must score 50% marks. But if he get lesser than 50% marks, he may not be eligible to qualify for the next class. So again we need a decision over here that lesser than 50% marks is not eligible to qualify for the next class, and equal to or greater than 50% marks one can apply for the or qualify for the next class. So 50% is a decision that computer has to take when the marks of the student are entered through the keyboard. Again, bonus is granted on minimum 5 years of service. Again, there is a condition that if an employee need you want to grant some bonus, then the minimum service required is 5 years. So the eligibility criteria for the bonus is 5 years. So if you can, if you want to apply for the bonus, first service must be counted. If the service years are greater than or equal to 5 years, then bonus can be granted. Otherwise, lesser than 5 years service employee cannot get bonus. तो इन चारों सिचुएशंस में आप लोगों ने देखा होगा कि अगर पहली एग्जांपल लें तो उसमें ड्राइविंग लाइसेंस अप्लाई करने के लिए मिनिमम 18 ईयर ऑफ सर्विस चाहिए, एज चाहिए. सेकंड एग्जांपल में अगर आप बास्केटबॉल टीम के लिए अप्लाई करना चाहते हैं तो आपकी हाइट पे चेक लगा हुआ है और 6 फीट हाइट वाला अप्लाई कर सकता है। थर्ड एग्जांपल में मार्क्स 50% पे आप जो है वो नेक्स्ट क्लास के लिए क्वालिफाई करते हैं। और फोर्थ एग्जांपल में बोनस जो है दैट शुड बी granted if the minimum service is 5 years. So in all these four situations we need to make certain decisions that a certain criteria must be met to qualify for some situation or for some objective. So in computer programming we need to make certain decisions, and whenever some decisions we need to take, we must go for the control instructions. So control instructions are used for decision making. The first purpose of control instruction is decision making. The first control instruction is if statement. For example, if there is a condition, if condition is true, statements mean if the condition get true then the statement would be executed, but if the condition is false then statement must not be executed. So the execution of statement depend upon this condition. If the condition true then statement would be executed, but on if the condition is false then statement would be skipped and would not be executed. For example, if Ali's height is greater than 6 feet, then Ali can become a member of the basketball team. तो इसमें आप वही चीज़ जो है वो चेक कर सकते हैं कि अगर अली की हाइट 6 फीट से ग्रेटर है तो वो बास्केटबॉल टीम के मेंबर बन सकता है। लेसर देन 6 फीट पे वो बास्केटबॉल टीम का मेंबर नहीं बन सकता। सो बास्केटबॉल टीम का मेंबर बनने के लिए 6 फीट हाइट का होना ज़रूरी है। तो अगर हम कंडीशन के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से बात करें तो इफ़ अली हाइट इज़ ग्रेटर देन 6 फीट then he can become the member of the basketball team. अगर हम इसके जर्नल सिंटैक्स की बात करें, if condition and statements. If condition is true, then statements would be executed. अब इसमें हमारे पास एक और चीज़ है कि अगर हमारे पास एक स्टेटमेंट होगी जैसे यहाँ पे, then we do not need parenthesis, but if we have more than one statements depending upon the condition, then we have some compulsion कि हमें वहाँ पे कंपाउंड स्टेटमेंट्स जो है वो बनानी होंगी, हमें उन्हें ग्रुप की शक्ल देनी होगी और ग्रुप बनाने के लिए हमें parenthesis का इस्तेमाल करना होगा. So for a single statement we cannot have parentheses over here, but there is an option, rather I should say we have an option that for a single statement we do not need we do not have compulsion of parentheses, but if we go for the multiple statements and we want to have certain group under certain condition, then we must have to place parentheses over here. तो मेरा इसमें आप लोगों के लिए सजेशन ये होगा कि आप एक स्टेटमेंट के लिए भी पैरेंथेसिस का इस्तेमाल कर लें ताकि आपके जहन में हो कि अगर एक स्टेटमेंट है तब भी पैरेंथेसिस लगानी है और अगर एक से ज़्यादा स्टेटमेंट्स हैं तब भी पैरेंथेसिस का इस्तेमाल करना है। अदरवाइज एक स्टेटमेंट के लिए पैरेंथेसिस कंपलसरी नहीं है, ऑप्शनल है, और एक से ज़्यादा स्टेटमेंट्स जब आ जाएंगी तो फिर पैरेंथेसिस हमारी कंपल्शन बन जाएगी। अब इसमें हमारे पास नेक्स्ट है रिलेशनल ऑपरेटर्स। जब हम बात करते हैं कंडीशन की, देन वी नीड सर्टेन ऑपरेटर्स। द फर्स्ट टाइप ऑफ ऑपरेटर वी नीड ओवर हियर इज relational operators. It is used to compare values of two expressions depending on their relations. Over here, relational operators have to compare two expressions. For example, we have a relational operator like lesser than, equal to, greater than equal to, greater than, and not equal to. At the third point, we have equal to operator where we have placed double equal sign. So double equal sign is a comparison operator that simply compare two values. So when we have single equal to, it would be called as assignment operator, but double equal to would be called as comparison operator, and it fall in the category of relational operators. So whenever we need to compare two values, rather than using single equal to, we would go for double equal to, because double equal to is a relational operator and it compares two values. The second type of operator we need in condition making is logical or Boolean operators. Operator used with one or more operands and return either value 0 or 1. The operand may be constant, variables, expressions. It means आपके जो लॉजिकल ऑपरेटर्स हैं वो एक या एक से ज़्यादा ऑपरेंड्स पे इस्तेमाल होते हैं and they would return only one value. Either the value would be 0 or 1. 0 for false result and 1 for true result. And the expression that combine two or more expressions is termed as logical expression. C++ has three logical operators. Double and sign used for AND operator, double pipe sign used for OR operator, and not for NOT operator. And OR operators are known as binary logical operators, and NOT operator is called as unary logical operator. Binary logical operator means they would be used for two operands, and unary logical operator mean that it would be used for only one operand. When we have used AND operator, it means that both the expression needs to be true to get the overall result true. If any of the expression get false, the result of AND would get false. And on the other hand, for OR operators, if any of the expression is true, then the overall result would be true. And if all the expressions combining OR operator are false, then the result would be false. So AND and OR are inverter of each other. For AND, all the expression needs to be true to get the overall expression true, and for OR, if any of the expression combining or using OR operator gets true, the result would be true. Let's go for its programming practice. The current year and joining year of an employee is input through the keyboard. Write a program to give the bonus of rupees 2500 if the service is greater than 3 years. So in this example, we have to give the bonus of 2500 to an employee if the service year is greater than 3 years. So यहाँ पे हम बोनस सिर्फ उस एम्प्लॉय को देंगे जिसकी सर्विस ग्रेटर दैन 3 years है. तो सर्विस कैलकुलेट करने के लिए वी नीड two inputs. The first one is current year and the second one is joining year. In this input statement, we input current year, then we input joining year. The service is equal to current year minus joining year. So the service value would determine that how much the employee has served. So we have placed the condition. If the service is greater than 3, C out bonus is equal to 2500. C out statement would be executed only when the condition is true. So if the condition gets true, the bonus would be calculated, and if the condition is false, bonus would not be calculated. So only when bonus would be granted if the service is greater than 3. Current year and joining year. Current year minus joining year equal to service, and service is greater than 3 would be equal to the number of years the service is. So the service, if the service is greater than 3, then the bonus would be granted. Current year, let's say the current year is 2020, the joining year is 2006, the bonus is granted. We have another example. Enter age in years. The person can apply for the driving license if the person age is equal to or greater than 18 years. तो यहाँ पे हम जो है वो एक और प्रोग्राम बना रहे हैं, एक और एग्जांपल डिस्कस कर रहे हैं जिसमें अगर पर्सन की एज equal to or greater than 18 year है, then he can apply for the driving license, otherwise he cannot apply for the driving license. यहाँ पे भी आप देखें कि हम एक वेरिएबल लेंगे एज, उसके बाद एज की वैल्यू इनपुट करेंगे. अगर एज जो है वो ग्रेटर देन और इक्वल टू 18 ईयर है, then the statement see out you can apply for the driving license would be executed, and if the condition get false, then this statement would not be executed. So the execution of this statement see out depend upon this condition. So if the condition is true, the statement would be executed, and if the condition is false, the statement would not get execution. Enter age in years. If we have entered 19, then you can apply for the driving license. Otherwise, you cannot apply for the driving license if your age is lesser than 18. We have another example. Enter the marks of 5 subjects, calculate obtained marks, percentage display the grade according to the following criteria. 80, if the percentage is 80 and 100, then the grade would be A. And if the percentage is between 60 to 79, the grade would be B. If the percentage is 50 to 59, grade would be C. And if the percentage is lesser than 50, then the student is fail. First we declare variables, then we would enter marks of 5 subjects in using a single statement I have done over here. C in physics, C in chemistry, C in bio, C in English, C in maths. Try to have variable names similar to the problem. So rather than using A, B, C, D, E, F, you can use physics, chemistry, bio, English, maths. And we have calculated the obtained marks by adding these 4 marks, 5 marks, physics, chemistry, biology, English and maths. We have calculated the sum and the obtained marks are obtained. Then percentage is equal to obtained multiplied by 100 divided by 500. So we have calculated both percentage and obtained marks. Then by using cout statements, we have displayed obtained marks and percentage marks. Then the actual problem comes. If the percentage is greater than 80, then we have grade A. And if the percentage is greater than equal to 60 and percentage is lesser than 80, we have grade B. Similarly, if the percentage is greater than equal to 50 and percentage is lesser than 60, we have grade C. Then if the percentage is lesser than 50, the student is fail. So we have applied 4 conditions over here. Percentage is greater than 80, percentage is greater than equal to 60, percentage is greater than equal to 50, percentage is lesser than 50. So by entering the marks of 5 subjects, we would get obtained marks and then percentage. So depending upon the calculated values, all 4 conditions would be tested and only one condition would get true, and the condition that would get true, only that statement would be executed. All other conditions who get false, their dependent conditions would never execute. So the executing statement would be the one whose condition gets true. The condition, in case of condition gets false, the statement would not execute. So if the percentage get greater than or equal to 80, so we would get grade A, and all 4 conditions, all remaining condition gets false and only grade A would be displayed. So if the percentage is lesser than 80, then second conditions would be checked, and if this would get true, then grade B would be displayed, and similarly grade next condition would be checked, and percentage greater than equal to 50 and percentage is lesser than 60, then grade C. And if all these conditions get false and only one condition get true, that is if percentage is lesser than 50, the student is failed. So in the second and third conditions, I have used logical AND operator, and logical AND operator mean the first expression greater than equal to 60 and the second expression lesser than 80. So for AND logical operators, both the conditions need to be true. If any of the expression from either the left side of the AND operator or the right side of the AND operator gets false, the whole expression gets false. So to get the overall expressions true, all the conditions present with AND logical operator must be true. If any of the condition get false, the overall expression get false. Before going to this exercise, For example, if we have a condition and we have situations like that, if the condition get true, then the statement would be executed, and if the condition get false, then we have another set of statement that would get execution. So if we have two sets of conditions, two sets of statements, one set is under certain condition if the condition is true, and the other set is under the condition if the condition get false. So condition, if we have two sets, like we have statement 1 for and statement 2, or we have two sets like set of statement 1 and set of statement 2, and statement 1 would get executed if the condition is true, and statement 2 would get executed if the condition is false. So if the condition is true, a certain group would be executed, and if the condition get false, control would go to else. So else mean that in case of condition get false, the computer would go in toward else, and the statements with else would be executed in case the condition is false. But if the condition is true, the control would never go to else, and it would go to the next statement. For example, if we have a condition, and if the condition is true, process 1 would be executed, and if the condition is false, control would go toward else and process 2 would be executed. So process 1 would be executed if the condition is true, and process 2 would be executed if the condition is false, and control would go to else. So for true, we would go for process 1, and if the condition is false, we would go in else and process 2 would be executed. Process 1 is executed for true condition, and process 2 would be executed if the condition gets false. So right over here we can say that statement under condition would be executed if the condition is true, and if the condition is false, we would go toward else. So we would only go toward else if the condition is false, and if the condition is true, we would never go toward else. Again, we have some programming practice. If the cost price and selling price of an item is input through the keyboard, write a program to determine whether the seller has made profit or loss, and also determine how much profit he made or loss he incurred. So over here we have two things to enter. For input we have cost price and selling price, and we need to determine that whether the seller got profit or loss. And not only we need to determine the profit or loss, we have to calculate the profit, the amount he get as a profit and the amount he get as a loss. So first of all, we would enter cost price, then selling price, and then we will compare. If selling price is greater than cost price, अगर selling price cost price से बढ़ जाती है तो इसका मतलब है कि जी उसे प्रॉफिट हुआ है, और अगर सेलिंग प्राइस कॉस्ट प्राइस से कम हो जाती है तो इसका मतलब है उसे लॉस हुआ। अब इसमें यहाँ पे हमारे पास एक तो ये सूरत हाल है कि अगर सेलिंग प्राइस कॉस्ट प्राइस से बढ़ जाए, in that case we would calculate profit, and the profit is equal to selling price minus cost price, and then we would display the profit. और अगर selling price cost price से greater नहीं है, कम हो जाती है, तो else mean otherwise. Otherwise we would calculate loss, and loss is equal to cost price minus selling price. So loss is equal to कॉस्ट प्राइस माइनस सेलिंग प्राइस. सो जब प्रॉफिट कैलकुलेट करना है तो सेलिंग प्राइस माइनस कॉस्ट प्राइस, और जब लॉस कैलकुलेट करना है तो इसका मतलब है कॉस्ट प्राइस माइनस सेलिंग प्राइस. सो इफ सेलिंग प्राइस इज ग्रेटर देन कॉस्ट प्राइस, मीन वी वुड गो टुवर्ड प्रॉफिट, एंड इफ इट इज नॉट ट्रू वी वुड गो टुवर्ड लॉस. But over here another condition raised, that if selling price and cost price gets equal, mean no profit, no loss, then we can place another condition over here that if selling price is equal to, or rather we should say if selling price is equal to cost price, then it mean no profit, no loss. So हम इसको तीनों तरीकों से कर सकते हैं. अगर सेलिंग प्राइस ग्रेटर हो जाती है कॉस्ट प्राइस से तो इसका मतलब है प्रॉफिट. इफ सेलिंग प्राइस इज इक्वल टू कॉस्ट प्राइस, इसका मतलब है नो लॉस, नो प्रॉफिट. And if cost price is greater than selling price, it means that we have incurred loss. So we can put three conditions over here: selling price greater than cost price, selling price equal to cost price, and selling price lesser than cost price. लेकिन मैंने इसको यहाँ पे जस्ट जो है वो एक कंडीशन से किया है, दैट इफ सेलिंग प्राइस इज ग्रेटर देन कॉस्ट प्राइस. सो आप इस वक्त इसे इक्वल कंसीडर ना करें, उसको हम लेटर स्टेज पे चेक कर लेंगे. इस वक्त आप यही रखें कि या सेलिंग प्राइस ज़्यादा दें या कॉस्ट प्राइस ज़्यादा दें. अगर सेलिंग प्राइस ज़्यादा देंगे तो प्रॉफिट कैलकुलेट करेगा और डिस्प्ले करेगा, और अगर कॉस्ट प्राइस ज़्यादा देंगे तो लॉस कैलकुलेट करेगा और डिस्प्ले करेगा. लेकिन वो वाली जो कंडीशन है कि अगर सेलिंग और कॉस्ट प्राइस बराबर हो जाती है तो वो हमने यहाँ पे डिस्कस नहीं की. आप चाहें तो उसे जो है वो एज ए कंडीशन अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. मैं आपको लोगों के लिए एग्जांपल के तौर पे कोट कर देता हूँ. इफ सेलिंग प्राइस इक्वल टू cost price, this condition would mean that no profit no loss. तो आप इसे सी आउट स्टेटमेंट में नो प्रॉफिट नो लॉस के तौर पे लिख सकते हैं, लेकिन यहाँ पे मैंने इस कंडीशन का जिक्र नहीं किया. आइदर यू गेट प्रॉफिट और लॉस. सो इफ सेलिंग प्राइस इज ग्रेटर इट मीन यू वुड गेट प्रॉफिट, एंड इफ कॉस्ट प्राइस इज ग्रेटर देन यू वुड गेट लॉस. We have another example. An integer is input through the keyboard. Write a program to find out whether it is even or odd number. So in this example, we would take two variables n and r. We would input the value of n, then we would calculate r equal to n percentage 2. Percentage over here is like mod operator and it would return remainder. So n would be divided by 2 and remainder would be returned to r. And if r is equal to, the value of r becomes 0, the number is even. And if the value of r becomes 1, it means the number is odd. So when we would have r is equal to n percentage 2, we would either get 0 or 1. So if we would get 0, it means the number is even, and if we would get the value of r other than 0, mean if we would get 1, the number is odd. So the remainder would determine the value is, the number is even or odd. If the value of r is 0, the number is even, and if the value of r is 1 or other than 0, the number is odd. Another example. Write a program to calculate the gross salary of an employee, and basic salary is input through the keyboard. If the basic salary is lesser than 1500, then house rent is 10% of basic and medical allowance is 20% of basic. And if the basic salary is either equal to or above 1500, then the house rent is fixed, that is 1000, and medical allowance is also fixed, that is 1200. So we need to calculate gross salary over here, and for gross salary we need three things. We need basic salary, we need house rent, we need medical allowance. But house rent and medical allowance depend upon the condition, that is, if basic salary is greater than 1500, then medical allowance is 10% of, then medical allowance is 20% of basic salary, and house rent is 10% of basic salary. And if the basic salary is greater than or equal to 1500, then house rent is fixed, that is 1000, and medical allowance is also fixed, that is 1200. So we have a condition. The condition is this, that if the basic salary is lesser than 1500, then the ratio of house rent and medical allowance is 10% and 20%. And if the basic salary is not lesser than 1500, then the ratio of house rent is, that is fixed, which is 1000, and medical allowance is 1200. So whatever the value of house rent and medical allowance, it depend upon the condition. So first we would enter the value of basic salary. If the basic salary is lesser than 1500, house rent is equal to basic salary multiplied by 10 divided by 100, mean 10% of basic would be calculated and value would be given to the house rent. And similarly, basic salary is equal to medical allowance is equal to basic salary multiplied by 20 divided by 100, mean 20% of basic would be calculated, and the 20% of basic would be returned to medical allowance. So if the condition basic salary lesser than 1500 gets true, the house rent and medical allowance would be calculated as 10% and 20% of basic salary. In case the basic salary is not lesser than 1500, mean it is either equal to or greater than 1500, then the control would go into else, and for else we have fixed values. House rent is 1000 and medical allowance is 1200. So either we would get values from BS lesser than 1500. If the condition is true, we would have 10% and 20% of basic salaries, and if the condition is false, then we would have house rent equal to 1000 and medical allowance. So it depends upon the value of basic salary, how much house rent and medical allowance we would get. So if the condition is true, we would get 10 and 20%, and if the condition is false, we would have fixed values of house rent and medical allowance. Whatever the values we get, we calculate the gross salary, and gross salary is equal to basic salary plus house rent plus medical allowance. Then we would display the value of gross salary. So if we have group of statement under certain conditions, then parentheses are compulsory, but for a single statement under certain condition, the parentheses are optional. So it depends upon the number of statements under certain conditions. As we have discussed that we would cover both the languages, C++ and Java, so I have tried that मैं आप लोगों के लिए जावा और सी प्लस प्लस दोनों का इंतज़ाम करूं। सो मैंने कुछ एग्जांपल्स आप लोगों के लिए जावा में भी डिस्कस की हैं। तो माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स, जावा और सी प्लस प्लस के सिंटैक्स ऑलमोस्ट सेम है। आपने वही चीज़ें एज इट इज़ इसमें भी अप्लाई करनी है, कोई इसमें डिफरेंट चीज़ नहीं है। फॉर एग्जांपल, फर्स्ट एग्जांपल देखें। तो मैंने उसी जो आपने C++ में बात डिस्कस की है कि बोनस उस सूरत में मिलेगा अगर सर्विस जो है वो ग्रेटर देन 3 है, तो मैंने वही जो है वो आपके सामने जो है वो एक स्ट्रिंग जो है वो लिया उसकी वैल्यू और फिर उसे जो है वो इंटीजर में करंट कन्वर्ट करके करंट ईयर को दिया और उसी तरह से फिर मैंने ज्वाइनिंग ईयर इनपुट किया। ये सेम तरीकाकार है जो ऑलरेडी हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं। कॉन्सेप्ट सिर्फ यहाँ पे है कि इफ सर्विस इक्वल टू करंट ईयर माइनस ज्वाइनिंग ईयर, यहाँ पे सर्विस कैलकुलेट हो जाएगी। अगर सर्विस ग्रेटर देन 3 है तो बोनस हमारा 2500 आएगा, एंड इफ द कंडीशन इज फॉल्स then bonus would not be displayed. So the statement bonus equal 2500 depend upon this condition. If the condition gets true, the statement would be executed, and if the condition gets false, the statement would not be executed. So if condition has the same syntax as that of C++, so in Java you apply the same way of doing as you do in C++. Another example, उसी तरीके से हमने सेलिंग प्राइस और कॉस्ट प्राइस इनपुट करनी है एंड ये डिटरमिन करना है कि प्रॉफिट हुआ है या लॉस, एंड हाउ मच प्रॉफिट वी अर्न एंड हाउ मच लॉस वी incurred. So again, selling price is input and cost price is also input. Then same syntax of if else. If selling price is greater than cost price, then we would get profit, and if selling price is lesser than cost price, mean we would go in else and we would calculate loss. So if the condition true, the profit would be calculated, and if the condition is false, the loss would be calculated. Same syntax as that of C++, no change in syntax. You can apply if else in the same way as you applied in C++. Another example, same program, enter a number and determine whether the number is even or odd. In the same way, एक n की वैल्यू इनपुट करें और फिर n को 2 पे डिवाइड करें और उसका रिमाइंडर लें। n%2 करने से या mod 2 करने से रिमाइंडर आएगा, और अगर रिमाइंडर की वैल्यू 0 आ जाती है then the number is even, और अगर रिमाइंडर की वैल्यू 0 नहीं आती the number is odd. So if the condition is true, the number is even would be displayed, and if the condition is false, number is odd would be displayed. Simple is that. चेक कर लेते हैं, रन करें इसे। एंटर नंबर, कोई सा भी नंबर आप एंटर कर दें। फॉर एग्जांपल 88, द नंबर इज इवन। दोबारा रन करें, 89 एंटर कर दें, द नंबर इज ऑड। Simply the number is divided by 2 and the remainder is returned to R, and if the value of R equal to 0, we would have number is even, and if this condition gets false, the number is odd. So my dear student, in today's lectures we have discussed control instructions, and we have just started our control instructions. And in control instructions we have discussed simple if, compound if, and if else statement. In the next class we will discuss some other control instructions. So if you have any problem, you can email me, you can text me, you can WhatsApp me. Whatever the way you adopt, I will respond you. No worries, I'll give you some assignments, and we will discuss in the next class. So hopefully you have learned something about control instructions. So our fourth type of instruction also has been started, and this is just the beginning of control instructions. Over here we have discussed about some decision making, then we will go toward loop, and then goes on. So my dear student, please be motivated. We will have no problem while using this type of method.